He talks green and gold.
158, go!
This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels.
And good evening. We are broadcasting live. We are at Rivals Sports Pub. We are here in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And we're brought to you by our good friends over there at Bud Light. They are the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. They bring you the Huddle each and every Wednesday night. Good to have you on board tonight. And it's good to be in Kenosha. We had a nice day a little bit earlier today. Got down here early, as a matter of fact, and just kind of hung out. Had a little bit to eat and a beverage. And, after this, we then head to Viroqua, Wisconsin, as a matter of fact. So we're going to head there, be at the Viroqua Country Club tomorrow. We're going to be at Norwegian Hollow on Friday. I think Kristen and I and some listeners are going to be playing golf tomorrow afternoon. And then we're going to have quite the go-round coming up on Friday night when we head down to Kickapoo Creekside, and then we're going to Gassers after we leave Norwegian Hollow. So we got a lot going on. So looking forward to all of it. The Green Bay Packers, they're going to become the 32nd team, the last team to play in London since 2007. However, did you know this is the first matchup in London between two teams that actually have winning records? I kid you not. Both teams come into this contest at 3-1. The game's going to be played at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium with local kickoff at 2:30 in the afternoon. It is the largest football club stadium in London. Capacity is just under 62,850. And while it's the first regular season game outside of the country for the Packers, it's going to be the sixth game overall that Green Bay has played outside of the United States. Previously, the Packers played internationally during the preseason on 3 different occasions: in Toronto, in Tokyo, and in Winnipeg. And on Christmas Day in 1932 and on New Year's Day in 1933, the Packers played 2 games as a part of a team-sanctioned barnstorming trip to Hawaii to play some local teams there. So there you go. That's just your historical update with games outside of the area. So there you go. Hey, I wanted to start this off, and the reason being is because we heard a little bit of Matt LaFleur today. Aaron Rodgers did not speak until after practice, which means during our program this afternoon from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. local time, we didn't get a chance to listen to Aaron Rodgers. And he talked a little bit about what it's like to want to go and play in London. And remember, Matt LaFleur, as he put it, talked about what guys need to do, that this is a business trip. Make no mistake about it. This is a business trip. So you got to treat it as such. You can go out, you can take a look around, you can do a few things. But for the most part, as he stated, he's never left his hotel room both trips to London. He goes there, he stays in his room. It's a business trip. You get your work done, you do your studying, you do your game planning. You have your team meetings, and then you go to work. So Aaron Rodgers, though, today was asked a little bit about his trip to London and talked about maybe, soaking up a little bit of the culture there. So as we get this show underway tonight to kind of set the stage for you, let's take a listen to what the quarterback had to say when he went to the podium a little bit earlier today. Here's Aaron Rodgers.
What's the purpose of this game? You had the European soccer here at Lambeau. That was nice.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome.
Do you think there's purpose to this?
Yeah, for sure. In talking with those guys, and I mentioned it, I think yesterday at some point, how special NFL Europe was for those guys when I was still playing. They had it in the 05 offseason. Might have been one of the last years, maybe 06 or the last year, but those guys loved it. And the response from the fans was usually pretty good. Now for the league, when it's all about dollars and cents, they were probably losing a little bit of money. But I think the overall growth of the game in Europe was probably worth it. So to now do some games internationally, there's at least one game, I believe, in Mexico. They did some games in Canada. Got obviously Tottenham and Wembley's hosted some games. I think it's great. It's great for our game to branch out. There's a lot of fans worldwide. I've been to Packer bars in different countries. Mentioned that Packer bars all over the country. Our fans travel well, and we're the last team that's played over there. So I think it's great for the NFL. It's great for our international fans too. We got a guy that shows up. He's a German guy. Always has a German flag. You've probably seen him. He comes to 2 or 3 games a year, and there's multiple people like that coming from all around the world to come to Lambeau. So this hopefully makes it a little bit easier for those good folks. Who that is? You talking about the English guy with the long hair? There's a few out there. I like that comedian though. He's funny.
concerns you most about this trip? Your head coach kind of insinuated he's not a big fan of this London trip in the middle of the season, the logistics. What concerns you most? Jet lag?
Listen, coaches are creatures of habit even more than players. Anytime there's a minute adjustment to the schedule, it throws them all out of whack. So I wouldn't read too much into that. Listen, we're all excited. I think the reason I said I wanted to go over early is just to experience a little bit of that culture, to be able to get out and see some sights and interact with fans and go to a pub and have a Guinness or whatever the local brew is. That's what we all want to do. Those of us that want to go over early, coaches are so concerned with, the idiosyncrasies of the schedule and stuff. So any minute, change in that's going to throw them off. But I think overall, everybody's super excited to get over there. Obviously, the time we're leaving might put a little stress on the schedule, but that's way down at the bottom of the concerns. We're just excited to get over there, playing at a great stadium. It's for us, it's a dream. I mean, I've been talking about doing this for years since they started this. Couldn't wait to get over there, but knowing that nobody wants to give up a Green Bay Packers home game, so it's exciting to finally get a chance to go over.
Aaron, I know you talked a little bit with Pat about Randall, so I'll try not to be too repetitive in what he asked, but Randall was teasing us the other day that we've tried to put him in a nursing home with kind of how we've described his role on the team. Was there anything you saw this offseason that made you think, okay, he might be a little fresher this year? He said it's the best he's felt in 3 years.
The older we get, the guys that can stick around find little ways to get advantages on the physical side. And I feel like that paired with a little bit more stability as far as his off-season home. There were multiple years where he was in a different spot many times and, selling houses, buying houses, a lot of moving pieces. Kids have gotten a couple years older. And then he's done a couple things with his body to really put himself in a great position to be able to make it the entire season and then feel better. He looks more like himself. He looks like 2016 Randall, I think. And that's why I mentioned on Pat's show and do feel really strongly he needs more opportunities. He deserves the opportunities. There is still some part of this game that is a meritocracy. And in that sense, I believe, every time he touches the ball, something good has been happening for us, other than his lateral to Elton. It's good.
Your post-game attire Sunday ode to Belichick in some way? Cut off.
No, not at all, actually. There wasn't, no, but I didn't even think about that. That would have been something that I might do for sure if I'd actually thought about it, but no. Good question, though. I hadn't thought about that. I didn't see the Saints, Minnesota, but I think that was the same place, right? I know that it seats about 62 and change. They got great sports fans there. Obviously, Tottenham's been a top 5-ish team in the Premier League for a long time right now, and I think we have fans. Obviously in Germany, Italy, France, all across there. I was in Europe this off season in Switzerland, and there were people, excited. I met local, football team guys and the coach there, just super juiced, loving the Packers. I was in Hungary and got stopped by a guy on a bachelor party from Croatia who was a huge Packer fan. Then I was in Greece and also got recognized in Greece. So there's Packer fans across Europe. It's going to be fun to get over there. I'm expecting a higher percentage of Packer fans than Giants fans, even though obviously the Giants are on the East Coast, but excited to be over there and feel the environment and those European sports fans.
Aaron, can you break down what you're looking for when you're reading a play? Like one of Packers' Twitter favorite things is they show one of your plays, there's a guy wide open, you don't throw it to him. I assume it's more complicated because maybe I don't know, but if read 1 is open, he gets the ball regardless of what read 3 is. Can you give us a tutorial on what you're looking at?
Who was wide open that I missed?
I don't know. I think there's one. There's Lazard was open.
He ran an adjustment on the route. He was supposed to run an inbreaker, and he decided to run vertical. So sometimes you don't have all the answers there. But when it comes to the play, there's a progression to it. There's different types of plays. There's plays where you pick a side. There's plays where there's a pure progression. There's plays where there's a pure progression with an option on the backside. Based on the coverage, you might start there first and adjust the order of the progression. But yeah, most of the time you're going through progressions. You're playing percentages on where the ball should go. I don't feel like I've missed a ton of wide open guys. Every now and then you might totally miss a guy, or the guy might not even be in the progression. First 2 or 3 might be an option on the backside. The coverage maybe you thought it was a certain way, you might not go back there. But most of the time, I feel like you just going through the progression, having an idea, getting a good pre-snap read, getting after snap read, and then adjusting anything you see on the fly.
So if it's a pure progression and number 3 is open, but number 1 is open first, there's no chance, right? Because the ball's
There's always a chance, yeah. You can skip some projection. What's the word? You just said it. Progression. Thank you. You can skip a progression from 1 to 3 for sure, but there's a 1 for a reason. Usually 1 is, on one side, and 3 might be coming from the backside. So just depends on where you're starting.
Is there any reason why you would skip 1?
Yeah, I skipped a lot of them last year when 17 was out there. Yeah, they've won some tight games. They were behind by a good amount to Tennessee and fought hard and came back and made the most of that one. Obviously, they played a tough one against the Bears. So yeah, they're a solid football team. They got a good front on both sides. Wink is a great coach. A lot of different things he's going to throw at you. So you got to be ready for a lot of different coverages, some themes of the week, some pressures. It's a big challenge for us.
Process of getting where you want to be. Well, you did say to Pat yesterday that those two are going to be dudes. I know there'll be 1,000 different factors and decisions you'll have to make as the season, but having 2 young guys that you're seeing this from now, does that factor into when you think about the future and whether or not you want to kind of reap the benefits of what you're sowing now with them?
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of benefits to be reaped from those guys. So I'm sure long after I'm gone, those guys are going to have an opportunity to be here and play in the second contracts. But it's about development, really, for them. It's about their mental approach, especially, like I said yesterday, year 1 to 2 can be a big jump. 2 to 3 can be an even bigger jump. So it's just understanding what it means to be a pro and figuring that out. And hopefully, I think every young player should lean on an older guy and get some advice. I think as older guys, we love to share the mistakes that we made with the young guys so they don't repeat those things, and things that work for us as a young player, things that didn't work, things we'd like to see them do. I think is really important, passed on that knowledge. But look, my decision when it comes down to it will be obviously the physical part, the mental part, seeing where the team is at. Look at the defense. A lot of guys are signed for multiple years now. That seems to be intact for a while. We got a good core in the offensive line, some young guys. Obviously 2 great backs who are still under contract. There's some moving pieces, but, that'll factor in for sure. But seeing the development of those guys, can't help but be a part of the decision.
You talked about sleep and performance in the past, and there's a huge time change, 6 hours between. How do you combat that?
Just knock yourself out. Listen, I think from what we've been talking about, you got to stay up as late as you can on Friday. And then, hopefully it starts to fall into place. But listen, there's no excuses, and we'll be trying to sleep on the way out and then go through the process on Friday and then try and sleep Friday night. Hopefully feel a little bit more rested Saturday, have a normal day-ish, whatever that means, and then get some sleep on Saturday. But both teams are dealing with the same issues, and we'll be excited to get over there and be excited to get to bed on Friday night for sure.
You got a bad jet lag story from off season?
No, not really. I got a couple techniques that I like to use to kind of get on the time schedule, but I'll keep those to myself. Those are competitive advantages, but I've shared them with a few people. But I'm sure we'll be ready to go by the time 2:30 hits Sunday.
Any give and take, or I don't say opinion, but does it affect you who's playing where on the offensive line in front of you?
No, I just want the best 5, and the best 5 that Seno and Buckus think should be out there will be out there. I think we've had some more consistency. I think Dave's played really well. I think Elton's been improving each week, and just the confidence is starting to come back. I feel like the interior 3 have been solid. Josh, other than a couple wayward snaps, I thought was really sharp in the game. John's really settled in as a very, very consistent player for us at left guard, and Royce seems to be really settling in a right guard for us. So if there's a time where we feel like there's one of our best 5 is not out there, then I'm sure they'll make an adjustment.
You mentioned you've dreamed about this trip before. Have you or either your teammates discussed a London leap? Is it possible in that stadium?
I haven't seen how high the walls are, but might need to boost like Hunter did for Mason against the Lions the one time or the Niners? Which one was it? Lions? Yeah. Look, they got great fans over there. I'm excited about the interaction. Tom's got all these, media requests lined up for me. So I'm sure we'll have some fun with some of those interactions and really excited to get over there. I know a lot of us are. We're obviously trying to figure out how to get some sleep tomorrow night, but once we're there, we're going to make the most of our time.
This is a dumb question, but can you have a wayward snap when you're under center? Is that what you're talking about? Or are you okay.
Yeah, he snapped it on his right cheek a couple times. Got to get that thing down the middle.
Does that best 5 on the offensive line, in your mind, involve Yash at right and Elton inside?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think Yash has played so much at left tackle for us. He hasn't really played a whole lot of right. I like the 5 we got right now.
There you go. That's Aaron Rodgers talking to the media, and he's got his how did he put it, Ben? He's got his technique for figuring out how to deal with jet lag, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure we won't run with that tomorrow.
No. Yeah, you got to. There's a technique. I don't know if it's colon cleanse in the bathroom, because in those airport lavatories, man, or in those airplane lavatories, you can't see sunlight or anything, so you never know what time of day it is. So I get it, but I'm kidding, of course. Sometimes you get on the plane, you take something to sleep right away. It changes the time in which you sleep. You can almost acquiesce yourself to a time zone change. Who knows? But he's going to be ready to go. Hey, coming up bottom of the hour, we're going to talk with Mike Clements. I am told Mike might be here on site. Come on, Mike might come walking through the door. He just texted me and said, "Hey, I'm close." Mike lives down here, so he says he's close. So we'll see. But in the meantime, the Green Bay Packers continue to get ready for over there in London. And Daniel Jones, after practicing today, now we'll wait and see how he feels tomorrow. But today apparently looked pretty good, at least according to reports. Stay tuned. We are broadcasting live. It's the Bill Michaels Huddle. We are down here at Rivals Sports Pub and Grill in Kenosha, Wisconsin. We are brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. They are the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. They have a lot of volleyball going on down here tonight. The indoor volleyball, I think it's indoor. Maybe it's outdoor, but sand volleyball going on tonight here at Rivals as well. So if you're looking to do something tonight, want to come down and watch some of that, have a few beverages, enjoy yourself, this is the place to be. Stay tuned. We got more after this.
This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program, and we are good to have you. Glad all damn day long. Hey, by the way, Rick, no cigar down here, but we will have some on the golf course tomorrow, so I'll be excited about that. Thanks for watching over on the Bud Light live stream and having everybody on board tonight. The Bill Michaels Huddle, again, brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. We are live down here. We are in Kenosha, Wisconsin, at Rivals Sports Bar and Grill, or Sports Pub, Rivals Sports Pub. I want to make sure I get that right, but good to have you on board tonight, talking a lot about the Green Bay Packers and this football team as they get ready to head over to London. It's the first regular season game, like we had talked about, outside of the country for the Packers. But if you listen to Aaron Rodgers, that's the reason I wanted to play that back, because, and we're going to hear more from Mike Clemens, who was actually there in the locker room today. But Rodgers very excited. This is something he's been wanting to do. And as he said, look, the coaches, the fans, nobody wants to lose a Packer home game. That's a given, okay, without a doubt. However, it is something that a lot, as he said, the players have been looking forward to this ever since it was announced that they're going, for sure, that they've been looking forward to getting over there. And as he says, absorbing some of the culture. He might even say, as he puts it, head into a pub and get a pint of Guinness. I don't think Matt LaFleur is going to like that too much, but I don't really think it matters that much regarding LaFleur and what LaFleur wants the team to do. Like he said, there's going to be a day to kind of do a few things and go absorb a little culture. But for the most part, Matt LaFleur wants everybody. This is a business trip. And as he put it earlier today, he said, I hope everybody gets a taste of it and wants to go back and visit it later in the offseason. But this is a business trip. And you can't, you try to remain as businesslike as possible. So you can go do a few things and enjoy yourself. But you want to stick to your routine. Players are a creature of habit. What do you do on Friday before a game? You go to practice, you have your walkthrough, you do some things, you go to your study, you implement any final touches on your game plan. Saturday, you get up, you're probably in the hotel, you're doing walkthroughs in a ballroom, you're doing certain things, then team dinners, prayers, things like that, meetings. You go to bed, you get up, and you play the game. They're trying to keep the guys to that particular schedule. You don't normally go out and find yourself a pint of Guinness at a pub. You don't normally go sightseeing. You don't jump on a double-decker bus and go take pictures. That's what you do in the off season when you're a tourist. So I get what Matt LaFleur is trying to say, what he's trying to implement. It sounds like Rodgers and certain players will decide that, hey, we're going to do a few things, and then we'll go ahead and make this a business trip. Just an FYI, today, Jair Alexander was back at practice, limited today. I don't know if he's going to go, but I will say this. I don't think it's a necessity for him to go. The Giants are pretty banged up at the wide receiver position. Daniel Jones, obviously, if he does play, he did practice today. Daniel Jones did with that ankle. It was limited, but he did practice today. You talk about a guy like Kenny Golladay. He's got that bad knee, didn't practice. Richie James, he's got an ankle, not practicing. Who's the other one? Wan'Dale Robinson, he's got the bad knee. He was limited today. Kadarius Toney, he's got the hamstring. He's limited too. Their wide receiving core is really banged up. I don't think you need to rush Jair Alexander back to face this particular team because I just don't think that they deem that they pose that big of a threat to you, quite frankly. So I know you'd like to get everybody back, get everybody as many reps as you can, but with Jair, man, I keep Jair. I keep him out if I can. I don't think I bring him back, to be honest with you. And again, you're also talking about, playing a quarterback that is, those guys, he's hobbled. They're going to run the ball. Saquon Barkley's going to run the ball. That's what they're going to do. They don't have a lot of weapons. And as I had mentioned, and Ben just reminded me, a lot of those wide receivers, they're starting to come back. They're starting to practice. They're doing, kind of like the David Bakhtiari thing where, yeah, they're limited, but he's not going to be back this week. A lot of those guys aren't going to be back. So I don't think you need to rush Jair back. Adrian Amos, I doubt if he even travels. He's still in concussion protocol. My guess is he's not going to be on this trip. Unless he's feeling pretty good, I don't think I even put him on the plane. I don't think you need to put a guy with a concussion protocol on the plane to put him in that pressurized chamber, if you will, to then take him up to 35, 40,000 feet and then fly him over there. So anyway, long story short, I think that's kind of the direction that this is going to go. We can do this. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. And when we do, hopefully, I think Mike Clemens is going to be joining us coming up here in a couple of minutes. But Mike should be walking through the door. He's going to join us live down here. We're at Rivals. We're in Kenosha, home of the Kenosha Sioux, the Rivals team that they sponsor down here. They're fighters, no doubt about it, and they've got volleyball teams back here. They sponsor some softball team, hockey team, all that kind of stuff. But here at Rivals, they also have just damn good food. It's a terrific place. We've been here now numerous times. Love coming down here and kind of mixing and mingling with some of the Bears fans as well, because we're right there on the border. We're not far from northern Illinois, so we like coming. We're like sandpaper underwear down here for some of them. We just come down and irritate the hell out of them. So anyway, we are brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. When we come back, Mike Clemens is going to be joining us. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Huddle coming up next.
This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You hear okay?
Test check 1 2 3. 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 Okay, I can hear fine. I think I got enough gain there.
There we go. Welcome back to the program. It is the Bill Michaels Huddle. We are broadcasting live. We are at Rivals Sports Pub. We are here in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and making the trip and hurrying down. Our guy, our reporter in the field, the guy that comes incognito, dressed as Aaron Rodgers' locker, our buddy Mike Clemens. How you been, buddy?
What does that mean?
It just means you're everywhere. You've always got it. I heard you talking with Aaron a little bit earlier today, saying, "Hey, do you got any rituals? You know, any jet lag stories? How to deal with it?"
Yeah.
He's like, "I got techniques," but he wouldn't share.
Did that part get on the air?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I got techniques.
Well, I'll tell you what. Aaron Rodgers was in a great mood today, and he said, "Oh, here comes long-winded Clemens." That's how that started out. And I said, then he said, "Okay, I'm ready for the press conference." He goes, "Go." And I said, "Is this worth it? Is flying all the way to London to promote the NFL?" I said, or is this like that European soccer game that they had at Lambeau Field in the end of July?
Yeah.
And that really had a great buzz up around in Green Bay. I mean,
Right.
the people who went to it loved it. And some people love that European or Premier League soccer.
Right.
And they drove 4 or 5 states to come in and see those players and see it, and it was cool to see it inside Lambeau Field. Frankly, there was a lot of Packer players that came in early. They were in town early. It was a weekend or so before training camp started. A.J. Dillon, remember, he was down there, and then the cops tried to put him out.
Shoo him away.
Yeah, like he's that guy with the pink smoke the other night. Right. So he's in a great. He says, "No, this is great. I'm behind 100%." He says, "We meet fans when I go to Europe," and then he laid out that. I mean, this is no surprise, but it's really one of the few times I've actually heard him lay out all the places that he's been. We know he's been with the Dalai Lama.
Right.
We know he's been in a cage under the ocean with sharks attacking him for Discovery Channel.
Right.
We know that he was in Switzerland at the Zenith, I think they call it, plant where they make $35,000 watches.
Right.
And I knew that he'd been to London. Now after we got done talking kind of off mic, I reminded him of the story where he and I don't know which girlfriend it was at the time, Olivia or somebody, but they're in a bar in Paris. And someone said, you got to go. There's a Packers bar in Paris. Like, no. And, you would think that Aaron Rodgers off season, like that would be the last place he would want to go. But he was actually genuinely curious. And he said it's a nice place. They go and he said, we drank till 3 a.m. Just the best people,
Right.
Some from Europe, a couple that were from the States. And we're sitting there and we're just sort of talking for a while. And it took about 20 minutes before the people said, are you Aaron Rodgers?
Right.
Like by the second or third drink.
Right.
Because they were thinking, but it's like, come on, this can't.
Right.
But the more the guy talked.
It became obvious because the bartender would hold the beer and he'd go, Blue 82,
Yeah,
right? And then
yeah.
they serve it to him,
Right.
So it kind of became obvious. He was showing off a little.
But, from where Rodgers comes from, it's like, this was one of these great places where I find in a little bar in Paris and people just treat me like another guy.
Right.
But, to hear their feedback, their genuine fan feedback about Packers and football and all that. So he's very positive about this. Then you go downstairs. Then you go in the media auditorium.
Matt LaFleur.
Matt LaFleur, who last week was a little testy, and you're thinking, okay, they got banged up against the Buccaneers, and now they got to face the Patriots. Mac Jones is probably not going to play quarterback, but you're going up against the hoodie. You're going up against Bill Belichick in prime time. And so maybe, the young coach is a little nervous about that because he knows that this would be a huge get for him if he could beat Belichick at Lambeau Field. They win the game in overtime, right down to the last second.
Right.
And you'd think that maybe Matt LaFleur got a good night's sleep and he's relieved. And today you ask him about, hey, so how about this game in London? It's like, feels like a Thursday night game. I mean, he doesn't want to be there.
Right.
He doesn't want to do this. And
he's been there twice. So maybe he knows something everybody who has never been there doesn't. You know what I mean?
I don't know what's going on. There's something going on. I don't know. I don't get it. But he's Mr. Snippy. I don't know what's going on. You'd think he was 1-3, Matt LaFleur, right now.
Right.
I mean, isn't this weird? It's Aaron Rodgers who's calming down the place and excited. And, the first one to jump on the plane and say, hey, this is going to be fun. And it's Matt LaFleur who's like just got the weight of the world on his shoulders. Now, LaFleur also, okay, so Sunday night after the overtime win, just a grateful coach, thanking players, and, kudos to Bill Belichick. He's a great coach, blah, blah, blah. But on Monday, he had a press conference that went 25 minutes, went pretty long.
Yeah.
Our press conferences in Green Bay go longer than just about anybody else in the NFL. First of all, we've got an awful lot of knowledgeable fans to serve. They're sending us, messages like ask about this, ask about the free kick. Did you hear that? They're asking about, hey, did they know they could have taken a free kick there?
Right.
No, we work for smart Packer fans, football fans. But he says this, he goes, yeah, I'll tell you this, we're going to leave Thursday, but I don't want to talk about anything else because somebody might be watching this. And, there was this thing a couple of years ago, Frank Reich, now head coach of the Colts, at least for today, was on Hard Knocks. And the show opened up with Frank Reich, head coach of an NFL team, watching that week's opponent's coach press conference. Mm-hmm. And it's not like they let some flunky in the PR department, some intern, take notes and say, well, here's what, the upcoming coach said,
right.
Here's what Brian Dable from the Giants had to say about what they're doing with their team. It's Frank Reich. He's watching he's backing it up to hear what this coach is saying.
Right.
Guess what? It's 2022. That's what these coaches do. On the checklist of things for Matt LaFleur to do is to watch the other coaches and what they're saying to the media, because a lot of this stuff is posted or they got access through the Zoom calls and that kind of stuff to see this thing. So he's worried about what the Giants are watching Monday afternoon. He doesn't really want to give out his schedule.
Right.
I'm sitting there laughing at this because it's like, dude, we sat in here and I had to look it up. I kind of remembered. Yeah. Saturday, May 7th, OTA's finishing up. It's me, about 6 other reporters, but he came in for a kind of required press conference. And so after we talked about how the rookies look and this looks and all that, and how's Aaron doing? Is he going to come to mini camp? I said, hey, so the schedule came out, and that's now official. We knew that he had a game in London.
Right.
We didn't know where. I said, say, have you been to London? What do you think about the London game? He went on and on and on. Oh, yeah, I've done it twice. Did it with the Rams. Did it with the Titans. And the thing is, and he said all this, everything that he learned back in May.
Yeah.
And suddenly now it's the week off. It's like, oh, I don't know if somebody's watching.
Right.
Well, I'm sorry. I put it on your show. The next day,
right?
I say, hey, look, the guy gave us a whole blueprint. He said on Saturday afternoon, May 7th, yeah, here's what you do. You get your game plan in on Wednesday and Thursday, and then you get on the plane and you start flying to London, and they'll fly all night, 7-8 hour trip, I think it is, something like that. When you get into London and you get to the hotel and you check in, and we're going to do press conferences, and then we're going to have a practice, and then we're going to try and keep them up all day Friday. So by that time, they're dog tired. They'll fall asleep. They'll sleep Friday night more on British Standard Time than Wisconsin time. And by the time you get into day 2, Saturday, okay, maybe go out, do a walkthrough, a meeting. Maybe the players can go out and have some dinner, look at Big Ben down the street or whatever. You get them into for their curfew. And by 2:30 British time the next day, their clock should be adjusted and they should be as fresh as possible. So, he's worried. LaFleur's worried about all that stuff, but he's been through it twice, and he pretty much revealed that plan last May.
I find it interesting when listening to LaFleur today that he said it's business. I didn't even leave my hotel. When he was talking about going over and him doing it, I didn't even leave my hotel. It's meetings, it's prep, it's sleep, and then you got Aaron Rodgers going, I might go to a bar, might get myself a pound of Guinness, And you're thinking, boy, these are two drastically different messages. He's trying to promote this is all business, and Rodgers is like, I'm going to go see some sights, man.
The league would like you to say one nice thing about London, Matt.
Yeah.
Instead of calling it feels like a Thursday night game,
right?
The league and their owners are putting up a lot of money for you to have this exhibition, this actually regular season game against another great NFL tradition franchise, the New York Giants, and we're trying to get as much ratings out of this as we can, and we want to say nice things about our host. And it would have been nice if you'd send this one thing about, this is going to be great for you.
He did everything would say it sucks.
Well, I thought there could be a moment where he would say, certainly Saturday afternoon, we're going to try and have a couple of tours up. So some of the rookies, some of these guys have never been there.
Yeah.
They can at least get a selfie in front of Buckingham Palace or something. Right. Just to
he
say
said, what did he say? He said something about, no, I don't want to leave the hotel. No.
Right.
Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break. Mike is with it. You're hanging for a while, right?
Oh, yeah.
Are you got to do anything, or you got to go, or?
No, should I go LaFleur on you and say I'd rather be
I'd
something
rather not
else?
talk about that. No, you can just say, I'll let you know. You'll see when you get back. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. Mike Clemens may or may not be here. We don't know. Red China. More of the Bill Michaels Huddle after this.
This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. We are glad you're with us. We are broadcasting live. We're here at Rivals Sports Pub. We are in Kenosha, Wisconsin, which is where you can find us. Mike Clemens alongside. I'm Bill Michaels. The Huddle brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Huddle. We are glad that you are on the viewing audiences here as well, not to mention all the affiliates that are carrying us all throughout the state. And many of you listen to the Brewers' final game for 2022. And Euchre had the call. The Brewers' season comes to an end, and now we start counting the days until pitchers and catchers report as we start to look towards spring once we get through the winter months. In the meantime, the Packers are on the road. They're in London, heading to London after tomorrow after they get a workout in, and then they're going to be over there getting ready, anticipation for the New York Giants. By the way, the Giants quarterback today, Daniel did practice. So,
did he participate?
Yes. Daniel Jones did participate. He was limited, but he did participate. We had earlier today.
I saw pictures. He was out on the practice
Pat
field.
Leonard, who works with the New York Daily News, was on with us and said he watched him practice today and said he believes he's going to play. So he said he went through all the media portion of practice today. He said they had him rolling out, throwing, darts on the run. He said he looked good. So he said he's really surprised. As much as they thought that ankle was going to keep him out of this game, he said he believes he's going to play.
He's rolling out, I believe it was to the right, and gets hit by two bears, comes up limping on the ankle, or maybe he played a play or two. But then they bring in Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah.
And he runs like a series or two. And then Taylor is running. These quarterbacks, too, it's like what Josh Allen was 2 or 3 years ago, or still is to this day sometimes. The younger quarterbacks, they don't see anything. They figure, well, hey, I'm the 11th man. I'll run with it. So Taylor, who's already had like 4 or 5 concussions, he runs out to the left, and he gets clobbered by 2 bears. You could hear the helmets collide up in the audio in the press box.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's out,
right.
With a concussion. And so then, Daniel Jones has to get back out there.
Right.
And Saquon Barkley was talking about he had to play quarterback for a couple of downs while they're getting him back up on his feet, in a wildcat in order to do that. Barkley looks just tremendous.
Looks quick. Looks like he's got his speed back.
He kind of reminds me of Sean Alexander, who I've talked about before, that he wasn't necessarily the fastest guy, but he was so efficient in his steps. It's like if he's outside the tackle and he looks up, sees where the linebacker is, sees where the safety is, he just would take the right steps for the shortest distance to be a cut up and get inside those guys and turn 4 yards, into 7 or 9 or 10 or 11 or something like that. So Barkley looked great.
I watched Barkley in that game against Dallas when he had that ripped off that 45, 50-yard run.
Yeah.
Where he started out going to the right. He ended up breaking it back to the left and ended up getting to the pylon. He just outran everybody.
Yeah.
So he looks like he's got his speed back.
Well, and that's just like year 2 coming back from an ACL, I believe.
Yeah.
See, so he was probably like all these guys they're talking about, even some of these Packers, you just don't have the confidence about getting, you don't know if it's what it's going to be like, how it's going to react when you get that hit. But now a year later, he's back to the guy that they drafted. And so here these Packers, with a run defense that once again had problems. and Matt LaFleur was asked about it, like, you guys are always back there in this, prevent pass defense in the 2 shell back there. And
Right.
these teams, they just have a delay and let guys run up the middle, run off tackle, and they get 10, 15, 20 yards like the Bears did in the third or fourth quarter,
Right.
like the Patriots did at times against you
Yeah.
the other day. What are you going to do to stop this?
Yeah, the question, I was going to ask you that because the question looks as if they're running nickel the majority of times. And they don't really, now I know you want to always stop the run, but it seems like, now correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like Joe Barry, all he wants to do is keep everything in front of him. It's not about stopping the run and stuffing the play and getting them into third and long situations. It's just like, just don't let anything get past you.
Right.
It's almost like what I said today. It's like you're playing scared.
Well, he doesn't want to let the explosive play get downfield. That's basically that's what he's known for before he came to Green Bay. More of a pass defense kind of guy, pressure the quarterback guy. Most teams are going to throw the football.
Is that what Rodgers meant by saying we got to get up 2 scores to make the opponent one-dimensional to help our defense?
I think so. I think the other thing that was most interesting is when LaFleur, we talked to the coordinators last week, and then we asked LaFleur about it a day or two later, like, what do you say about the run defense? He said, you know what? I'll be telling Joe Barry that we need to get more physical. And I think what he meant by that is they've got to get one more guy back in the box. They can't just be back there with 5 or 6 guys in the defensive back. They've on first down or obvious run downs, they've got to be more committed to get a guy in the box to help out and be, as LaFleur called it, more physical.
Right.
They have to.
The offense. I know Rodgers, and I haven't talked to you about it, but he was asked about winning this way. Is this sustainable? And
he called it unsustainable.
He said
after that overtime
we
can't do this.
We can win. This is sustainable, but we can't win like this sustainably the rest of the season.
Week after week.
Yeah, week after week. So, my next question is, well, then what do you do? Is it he just relying on him being better, the young guys getting better? Or is he talking about whether or not, this was what Rodgers had to say about winning sustainably.
This way of winning, I don't think is sustainable because it's just puts too much pressure on our defense. And obviously I got to play better and will play better. But the second half is our kind of football where we're mixing it up. We're throwing the ball outside the numbers. Obviously we ran the ball, controlled line of scrimmage really well. But we got to play better in all 3 phases.
So, in other words, we're going to help the defense out. We're going to do everything we can. We want to get up by a couple of scores. But is he kind of, in a backhanded way, criticizing the defense for not stopping the run and not?
Maybe.
He
could be upset about Amari Rodgers not getting better returns. Amari had 1 good return in that game. There's other times in the first 3 or 4 times that your defense, gets the opponent off the field, and then your punt returner just stands back there and doesn't seem to know what to do. He just looks undecided. So to play it safe, he gets the hell out of the way. So they need to be more aggressive in that. I'll tell you what, though, when you get into the second half and you hit Lazard like you did, you hit Cobb over the middle in the clutch in the overtime.
Yeah.
That's what Rodgers wants. He wants to see more of those plays called to those guys. And you know what he said today? We got to get Christian Watson back into this. We got to stop just handing it off to him.
He does.
And they're using his speed and they're using him as a jet sweep guy and all that. But they got to throw him the ball because people are going to double up on Dobbs, or Lazard or whatever. And
do you need to? If you're a defensive coordinator, you're looking at this going, we got to double that guy.
Christian Watson is the stretch the field guy.
Right.
And everyone can see that now. Everyone can see that the hands are there, the speed is there, the target is there. It's just that, Rodgers and LaFleur got to get back to saying, we got to throw the ball that guy's way. But you know what? Maybe it's what they're seeing in practice, that he had so many limited snaps because of the PUP and the knee surgery after the mini camps and all that. They don't trust his hands yet.
Right. And that's what the reputation he came into the league with he's going to go through his fair share of drops. I agree with you. Real quick before we're at the top of the hour here. So you mentioned special teams. They are better. Amari Rodgers has taken a few punts, garnered a few yards. I mean, I know there was one that was
good
questionable.
return.
Had 1 good return. So I think they're better. Certainly Mason Crosby in the process has been better overall, right?
Well, I think protection on the punt team looks better.
Yeah.
The coverage looks better. And I'll tell you, these guys that Bisaccia's brought in, like, Rudy Ford, and Nixon, and Dallin, they're showing up.
Yeah.
I mean, Dallin is there getting those guys lined up.
You got to go?
No.
Oh, you're going to hang for a while?
I can hang.
We're going to talk with Grant Bilse coming up, so you and I can chat with him and then just kind of see where else the wind blows.
Sounds fine.
There you go. Mike Clemens alongside. I'm Bill Michaels. We are broadcasting live. We're at Rivals Sports Pub. We're down here in Kenosha. 1 hour down, 1 hour yet to go. We are brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. We'll be back right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers are back to work today as they get ready to head to London to face the Giants on Sunday morning. It's going to be their first ever international regular season game. It's also the first international NFL game that's going to feature teams with winning records. Green Bay and New York both 3-1. Giants dealing with some injury issues. Quarterback starter Daniel Jones and backup Tyrod Taylor both got knocked out of the win over the Bears last Sunday. Kick this Sunday is set for 8:30 Wisconsin time. Turning to the Badgers, they will also hit the road this week as they head to Evanston to face Northwestern. Wisconsin 2-3, a start that got Coach Paul Chryst fired. In his place, defense coordinator Jim Leonard. In recent weeks, players have talked about playing better than they have. Leonard says talking time is done.
The messaging in this building is always very consistent with what we expect, what we demand of our players to hold each other accountable. And to me, it's time to show it. There is no special talk. There is no players only meeting. There is only coaches only meeting, right? It's getting it done at this point, right? We know the issues, right? We know we have to play better. There's no talking anymore. Like it's time to get it done.
Badgers and Wildcats going to kick at 2:30 on Saturday afternoon.
Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up, and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
Well, the Brewers going to close out their season this afternoon against Arizona, looking for a 3-game sweep with the Diamondbacks. Corbin Burke on the mound. He's already clinched the NL strikeout crown, the first ever in Brewers history. First pitch is coming up at 3:10, and the Bucs will continue their preseason tomorrow morning as they take on the Atlanta Hawks in Abu Dhabi. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Are you ready for some football? He talks green and gold. This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels.
Welcome back. It is hour number 2. We are broadcasting live. We are at down here at Rivals Sports Pub and Grill down here in Kenosha, Wisconsin. We're brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. Joining us here live, Mike Clemens alongside. Meanwhile, we also bring him in on the phone, our buddy Grant Bilse from the Wisco Sports Show, joining us as well. Grant, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Bill. I'm doing outstanding. How are you guys? Having a good time?
We are good. Mike showed up, so now it's a party. So we're ready to go.
Define party.
Yes. Grant, you tell me this contest. We heard from both Aaron Rodgers, who wants to go out and get himself a pint of Guinness, and Matt LaFleur, who sounds a little snippy, as Mike put it, getting ready to go to London, and this is kind of a drudgery trip. How do you look at this trip going to London?
Well, I saw Rodgers on McAfee the other day, and he was bemoaning something. They weren't leaving early or late enough. He wants to, go see the sights or whatever, Mr. Worldly Traveler, which I can get. And I think Matt LaFleur, and I talked about this with Mike a little yesterday on my show, I think Matt LaFleur is just tightly wound. I think he is just stressing every little detail of everything. And, Bill, they haven't fared well when they travel to California or when they go to Florida. I am I am not feeling good about this team traveling to London. It has nothing to do with the team they're playing. The Giants stink, and they might not have a healthy quarterback. But Matt LaFleur, with enough time to prep and prepare and stress and overplan for a flight to London, that worries me. That worries me for sure.
Bill, Grant made this excellent point on his show yesterday afternoon. You know, there's that one period this summer where Craig Counsell was talking about, okay, we got the win today here at American Family Field, but, tomorrow now we start this 3-week road trip. I mean, yeah, this is a killer.
Yeah,
we got like 3 or 4 different cities, in the next 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then you hear the reporters go in the clubhouse and talk to some of the players as they're packing up and heading out for the road trip. And they're like, yeah, gee, we got this 3-week road trip and it's going to be a killer. We got to play all these teams. And Grant made this great point. It's like, Council's saying this in the clubhouse gatherings and meetings.
Right.
Or is he saying it to the media? And then the players feel like they're supposed to mimic, be in line with their coach.
Yeah, do what the head coach does.
And that's exactly what could be happening with the Packers if they're not careful.
Yeah.
When your quarterback is up there saying, "Oh, this is a great opportunity. It's good for the." I mean, you would think that normally it would be the other way around. That Aaron Rodgers would be saying,
Oh yeah.
I don't get any paid more to do this, and what do I need to go and play over there? And why? Who knows what kind of condition that field is in and all that, and LaFleur out there selling it for the franchise and all that. It's just the opposite. And it, you're sort of putting that locker room between, well, am I in the Rodgers camp or the LaFleur camp?
Yeah. And Grant, he brings up a point about the field. I mean, Aaron Rodgers talked about Tampa. They said, what's the biggest, detriment to going to Tampa? He said, the field.
Yeah.
The field sucks. This wasn't even mentioned. Rodgers is giddy. He can't wait to get there and do his thing.
Yeah, well, and I don't know whether it's the field or the travel or the schedule of everything. It's just when you talk about something like it's a big deal, you make it a big deal, right? Whether it is or not. And Mike and I were listening to a little bit of Brian Dable's press conference on the Wisco Sports Show yesterday when he joined me, and they were asking Brian Dable about injuries. He's like, probably will play, probably won't play. And then they asked him about travel, and he basically said, well, it's not that much worse than a flight to California. We've made preparations, we've made a plan, but we're going to go over there and play a football game. It's not a big deal. And I think that's the way to approach it. And that's just not Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur is so tightly wound. And look, I give him credit because he's super prepared. He studies everything, right? He pays attention to little details, but sometimes it's better, especially as a leader, when you're addressing large groups of people. Sometimes it's okay to not stress all the little things, because I think that rubs off on the guys. And I don't know, maybe that's why the Packers don't travel too well, whether it's been California or Florida. I don't know. It's always something when this team's got to leave the central time zone.
Bill, Grant and I had this conversation where he said, hey, Mike, now, can we talk about the Patriots game and all that? And can we maybe talk about the scheduling and what it's going to maybe on Thursday's show, And I said, you know what? I need to talk about the scheduling now, because it was just sort of my sense, my spidey senses, that this was going to be the story in the next day or two, just coming off of what LaFleur said or didn't say on Monday, and knowing what the team was going through on Tuesday.
Right.
Because the sense was from the organization, it's like, we got to get all that. We're losing a day or two of prep.
Right.
Okay. We got to get everything ready on the Giants before we get on the plane Thursday. And the rest is going to be zombies walking around in a walkthrough. And hopefully they remember the stuff that we crammed in over the 2 days. Matter of fact, today, our session in the locker room was getting cut a little short, because it's like you look up at the clock and it's like, wow, it's 3:27, and they've got a team meeting in 3 minutes, that's going to go on for the next 45 minutes. And then you could see that they're breaking down with the, coordinators for more film study and all that till 6 or 7 o'clock tonight. So Grant, that's why I said that last night, because the other point that Grant brings up is like, and I'm as tired of this story as anyone. We take the Bill Michaels show to the Super Bowl every year. And so what's the big story there? Well, let's see. Are the Chiefs going to go on Monday? Are they going to go on Tuesday?
Right.
Are they getting tickets for their families and all the distractions of the media? We're so tired of that story. We are. But this thing is different because you're on a plane for 8 hours.
Yeah.
And you know something? Oh, hey, Grant, guess who I ran into today?
Oh, who?
a truck pulled up as we were going into the gate, into the Hudson Center, and a guy rolled down his window. He's got sunglasses on and a kind of a cool looking cap. And he says, "Hey, can an old quarterback get in there?" And I'm looking, and I'm like,
oh,
is he looking at me?
Don Mikowski.
And he's pointing at me.
Yeah.
Hey, come here. I'm like, oh, okay. And I don't know what's going on. This guy could be some nut from up north for all I know, right? So I look both ways. I cross the street. I go across the street. He pulls down his glasses and it's magic. It's Don Mikowski.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I go, what are you doing here? And he's laughing. And then he pulls the truck off, he's Don Mikowski.
Right.
Pulls off to the side by the curb. He gets out, gives us a big hug. Tim Van Vern from Fox 6 in Milwaukee, and he looked across the street, goes, "You two might the only ones left when I was still playing here." I
right?
Go, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Probably. He said, "Hey, no." He says, "Me and Kelly were in town. We're doing some appearances for the next couple of weeks and all." And he says, "I just haven't been driving around in the area and all that." And so we got to talk to him. And so we said, "What do you think about this trip to London?" He said, "Man, I can't imagine, particularly the big guys that have got like a knee or an ankle."
Yeah.
He said that stuff swells up, man, on those long flights.
Really?
It's brutal. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what these players think. They don't want to talk much about it because it, to the average Joe that, worked construction, doing highway repairs or something, they don't want to hear about it. But when you're trying to get the inflammation down on a leg that you got to play in an NFL game, every minute counts. And he says that's got to be a rough trip for those older guys with those knee and ankle injuries.
Speaking of that, Grant, would you play Jair Alexander in this game, or would you let him heal up another week or so?
No, I'd let him heal up. Groins are freaky, and Bill, I don't think, especially this Packers team, they're not going to win the division, and they're not going to win any playoff games this early on in the year, right? Like the last couple of years when the Packers roster was very settled and everyone knew their role and we knew how the offense was working, you could make hay in week 5 and 6 and 7 because you could really put up some points and build confidence and really beat up on some teams and go for that 1 seed. This Packers team is building much more slowly, right? We're slowly incorporating in some of these young wide receivers, younger players on the defense or newer players on the defense in the case of like Jerron Reed up front and Quay Walker, who was just drafted. So this is a slow burn. There's no need to rush Jair Alexander back. Plus, right, this is why you brought back Rasul Douglas, right? This is why you paid a little bit of extra money to bring back the veteran. Plus, it's good reps for Eric Stokes. No, especially with a groin injury. He doesn't need to come back any earlier than necessary. Plus, the Giants receivers stink. They don't have anyone, and they're all injured too. So, no, this is another, like last week, another really good situation for the Packers to continue to build and improve, and Jair Alexander doesn't need to be a part of that.
Yeah, you're right, and it looks like Kenny Galladay's out, man, with this knee injury that he suffered. And so today I'm talking to Eric Stokes. By the way, I just said, "Hey, so what do you think about the trip?" And he goes, "I don't know, man." Why? Well, it's going to be kind of emotional for me. Why? I don't like to fly.
Oh, really?
I really don't like to fly. What do you do? What? Just watch a movie or you sleep? No, I just tough it out. I'm not a good flyer. So by all means, this will be the longest flight I've ever been on. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, hey, listen, on Sunday's game, now Adrian Amos, he was over there on the bike, he's going through the concussion protocol. I don't think he's going to play. He took that knee right to the helmet in the game against the Patriots. But I said, Rudy Ford stepping in at safety. I didn't know if it would be him or somebody else. But, they're so used to smash Adrian Amos always being in games, always being available, being their veteran guy back there.
Yep.
He said, "Hey, Rudy did great. We knew he was going to do great. He's been doing great in practice. He's been picking it up like that. And he seemed to feel pretty good about the job that Rudy Ford did, in that Patriots game, picking up anything deep, playing safety."
Grant, we were talking about that. It seems like the Joe Barry defense right now, just keeping everything in front of you. Not a lot of attacking going on. Run defense isn't great. We certainly have seen more than a few times now. Kirk Cousins to Justin Jefferson, that's going to be open over the middle just because of Justin Jefferson's prowess. But when you're seeing the Bears do it, when you're seeing the Patriots do it, that's got to be a little concerning at this point.
Yeah, that's the modern NFL though, and I don't love it. I don't love it because it makes defenses boring. You're essentially as a defensive coordinator saying, take 4 yards at a time, and that's boring, right? I want my defense to go get after someone. I don't want my defense to surrender anything. And then on the other side of the ball, right, when my offense is going against a too high safety look, you're needing to check the ball down a bunch. That's not fun. No one likes that, but that's the modern NFL, and I have mixed feelings on the too high, and I talked about that a little bit on my show last night. In this new segment everyone's talking about. It's called Club NFL. Tune in sometime. But anyways, Joe Barry against the Vikings or some of these better offenses that they're facing, I have no problem with defense being too high. That's what most of the league has done. I just want other things branching off of that, right? I want him to pick his spots to get really aggressive and all of a sudden surprise an opposing offense with a different look. Or, Bill, in the case like last week when they're playing Bailey Zappi, or this week when they're playing God only knows in the Giants, don't respect them, right? Remember when Jordan Love played in Arrowhead last year? What did Steve Spagnuolo do to Jordan Love? They blitzed him every play. And they said, you know what? You might beat us once, but we don't respect you. So we're not going to give you we're not going to give you a check down because we're not scared of you taking us deep. So I don't mind the base defense and kind of the baseline and the foundation being too high because that's just what the NFL is doing. But I want to see a little bit more flexibility and creativity branching off of that, depending on the opponent and depending on the situation.
Does it look to you like the Packers, like this past week, got beat in the trenches? Defensively speaking.
It's such an interesting yeah. It's such an interesting question because against the Bears, Bill, they gave up 6 yards a carry, but who cares? They were up by a couple of scores. Whatever. I don't need to stick my neck in there and get hurt or really mix it up over some David Montgomery garbage time runs. And then this last weekend, it looked similar, but it's almost like, Bill, that Joe Barry and this defense is saying, look, if you want to run 3-4 yards at a time, fine. If you want to throw checkdowns into a soft zone, fine. We're going to make you do that down the length of the entire field, and we're going to try to get you to commit a penalty. We're going to try to hope Rashawn Gary makes a big play and puts you in 2nd and 20, and now those runs and those checkdowns don't matter. Again, that's modern defense. So I don't know if the Packers' defensive front just can't tackle and can't stop the run, or if it's by design. It's probably a little bit of both. I hope as the season goes along, they get a little tougher and a little more sticky up front because I really like this defensive front. I've been a little underwhelmed so far. Again, don't know if that's by design or if this defense is disappointing. Probably a little bit of both.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, though. With Justin Fields only throwing, a dozen passes or less per game against New York the other day, there's one where he set up, he did play action, and he had Darnell Mooney about 45, 50 yards downfield in stride.
Yeah.
And it was pretty. And it was like, uh-oh.
No, if he gets time and can do it, he can throw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Eventually when they get an offensive line that can protect him, you wonder what kind of a quarterback he's going to be. I saw Dan Orlovsky of ESPN tweeted out, it's not about making him get better. It's about not ruining him early on in the new regime. Don't ruin him and don't get him beat up.
Whitehair's the left guard. He's out now for the next 4 or 5 weeks with some kind of I think it's a knee injury. So, more injuries on that Bears offensive line.
Grant, before we let you go, who you got in this one and why?
The Giants stink, Bill. They're just not good, and they might be on a quarterback that they picked up off the street, right? If Daniel Jones can't go and Tyrod Taylor's got a concussion, which, if you got a concussion in this moment in time in the NFL, it's going to be even harder for you to get back onto the field. So they might be playing, Davis Webb, somebody off the street. The Packers are just so much better than this Giants team, but I think it's going to be uncomfortably close just because of this travel to London. I think the Packers are going to be so in their heads, and I think Matt LaFleur is going to be so in their head, and they're going to get out there, and they're going to be tight, and it's going to be stressful. But I think the Packers win. Give me the Pack off the top of my head, 23-17 in London.
Book it. There you go. Appreciate it as always, Grant. We'll talk to you again soon, okay?
Mike. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it, guys. There you go. That's our buddy Grant Bilse, the Wisco Sports Show, joining us for a couple of minutes and hanging out and giving us his prediction and his thoughts. Stay tuned. We are broadcasting live down here. We're at Rival Sports Pub. We're down here in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. Mike Clemens alongside. I'm Bill Michaels. We got more right after this.
This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Glad to have you. We are broadcasting live. We are down here. We are at Rivals Sports Pub. We're in Kenosha. Mike Clemens alongside. I'm Bill Michaels. The Huddle brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. Good to have you. And next week we're going to be, by the way, at the Mecca, back down at the Mecca, downtown Milwaukee in the Deer District. So looking forward to getting back down there next week. So, Mike, you were talking about, Rudy coming in and playing so well. Without Adrian Amos, I thought the defense looked a little, I don't know if it was that they backed off or a little soft. How do you think the defense has played thus far?
Rashawn Gary has made me look smart.
Yep.
Because I said.
Made me look stupid because I didn't know if he'd be that good.
I said during camp.
Oh, yes.
Man, this guy is fast. It's like he's added shaved a couple, seconds off his get off, and the way he was getting the backfield just to practice. So he looks great. Preston Smith seems to be all right. Kenny Clark and Reed, I guess those guys are doing their job of trying to hold up the line. Reed has made some nice plays. He made a nice sack the other day, getting through the back. But where's the turnovers?
Right.
Where's the punching out the football?
Yeah.
And they get one forced fumble, and that was Rashawn Gary again, who gets to the quarterback, punches out the ball, and recovers it. But you don't see that stuff going on. You don't see like that Jack Jones Patriots kid, who when Dobbs, Rodgers throws kind of a bad ball in a bad spot. Dobbs is reaching out, he pulls it in, and the first thing that rookie does is come and just punch it out. The Packers are not going after the football, and they need to be more aggressive. It's one thing to be keeping teams to 20 points or less a week, but they've got to take that next step and start jumping routes, creating turnovers, like what you just saw from that banged up Patriots team.
That's what I go back to and I said this earlier today. I said, it's one thing if you want to keep it in front of you and just make teams grind it out. But at what point do you get aggressive? Or are you not being aggressive because you're playing teams you should be beating? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you beat up on the bad teams, or do you just kind of fend them off and then allow your offense to do the work?
Well, no, I don't.
I think you get aggressive against them and beat the hell out of them.
Yeah, no, these guys, it's too good of a league, and even one-win teams like the Detroit Lions can come back and bite you in the butt, as the head coach would say. What you were missing when Adrian Amos went down is a safety who's not afraid to go up and meet the runner.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Rudy Ford was probably more concerned about not letting something get behind him. Don't fall for some play action. He did make some nice plays. He did seem to be in the right spot when the ball was in the air, So he made pretty good reads. I mean, he did his prep and he was ready when his number got called to understand where his role was supposed to be. I was looking for mistakes and couldn't find any between him and week 2 with Keyshawn Nixon helping out with Jair Alexander out.
Yeah.
So, that's very impressive because I got to tell you, when Nixon got to Green Bay, then he gets injured. Then it's like, so. And I think he got some snaps in the pregame. It's like, big deal. And same thing with number 6, Dallin,
Right.
But, they've showed up. They've really showed up. And they've also kind of exposed that, like we said last year, with those starters they got between Jair and Rasul and Amos and Savage, boy, that could be one of the best secondaries in the league. But God forbid anybody gets hurt because, Jean Charles and these other ones, the Tariq Carpenter, man, that was a cheap hit. He hit a guy twice after the ball had been kicked away. And he got, called for a roughness call, I believe it was. He's been disappointing, even though he's a late round out of Georgia Tech. He's got the size. He should be the one that's getting some of these snaps at a backup safety, and he's barely on the active for special teams.
It's interesting because you bring up special teams. I heard Mason Crosby asked prior to the game the other day, what's been the difference? And he talks about the process, but he talks about some of the guys that Rich Bisaccia has brought in. That Dallin Levitt's one of them. That these guys help you. When you can do certain things, whether it's kicking it for a touchback, kicking it high, and allowing them to get downfield, using the sideline. We saw that against the Bears in game 2. I think it was the second or third kickoff where they put it into the corner rather than kicking it, into the end zone, trying to pin them back a little bit deeper and gain some additional field position. He said these guys have been the ones that Bisaccia brought in. That makes this whole thing easier. That's the reason the special teams, at least coverage, has gotten better.
Rich Bisaccia says, and I can see it week after week, you can come into my system if you hadn't played in 20 years. That's pretty much the same stuff that I got out of Clemson, and then I got in my other stops, including, working for Belichick there for a while, and him helping me out as a young special teams coach. And that is, maybe I got a half dozen different plays, schemes, styles. Doesn't get too complicated. But during the week of practice, I'm not going to be like some of these other guys, like they've had with Meninga, and Mo, after that.
Yeah.
You're going to have to do this a couple of reps at full speed. So you know what it looks like. You know what it feels like, what your lane's going to be like, how it's going to look like to you on game day. And I'm asked LaFleur, I need to run about 12, 14 plays on punting, on kick return, punt return. And I don't expect a guy to run it 12 times at full speed, but they get assignments. You're going to be on play number 3, play number 6, play number 9, So you're going to have to run this full speed about 4 or 5 times on the Wednesday or Thursday practice when we're going through special teams for the week. So you know what it looks like, you know what it feels like, you know what the timing is. And I think the players really appreciate that. That's so much better than this sort of half speed. And basically, it's like a walkthrough. They used to put on those stupid knit caps, and, and just try to remember, what team am I on? Oh, is this my turn?
Right.
Okay, where do you want me to line up?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, all right, we'll run down, sure.
And then they run down and hit dummies or pads.
Oh, yeah, or air.
Yeah.
Or air.
Right.
Or a jugs machine.
Positive Pete right now.
Yeah.
It's the positive Pete. But special teams has gotten better. I think I don't.
Drayton. That's what it is.
Maurice Drayton is who it was. Yeah. At least it wasn't Sean Slocum.
No.
But the return game is still, first of all, Amari Rodgers is nowhere to be found when it comes to the wide receiving core. This is all he is. And you wonder how much longer. Wouldn't you run Christian Watson back there, or is he, because of his propensity to drop the football, this is a guy you can't stick back there?
Yeah. I don't know if he's
Or Samori Toure?
No. You know what the questions the last 2 weeks has been? How's Kylan Hill doing?
Right.
Coming back from the ACL.
Yep.
And there was maybe a whisper last week that maybe he was close. And then they asked LaFleur again today, hey, is he coming off the PUP? Nope. So he's out there again off to the sidelines. But I think that's what everybody is getting anxious to say. Amari Rodgers is not taking the bull by the horns here and own this. He's got this great opportunity to lock this thing down. And he hasn't come close to what Kylan Hill was doing last year as a third-string running back and your returner before he had the ACL against the Cardinals.
Go to Oren Burks, Jay Sternberger, Amari Rodgers. Those third-round draft choices just haven't mounted.
No, sir, they have not.
No doubt. Let's do this. We are broadcasting at Rivals. We're down here in Kenosha. Rivals Sports Pub, great place to come down to. They have in and out of here. The volleyball leagues are going on tonight. Nice crowd over by the bar, and there's some baseball on the tubes. So, and the Brewers, if you did not know, the Brewers season came to an end today. They are officially now in the off season, and now you wait and see what the next year will bring. But some optimism hopefully reigns supreme with some acquisitions and such. So that's going to play out. But we're talking about the Packers heading over to London. Stay tuned. We are brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. This is the Bill Michaels Huddle.
This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Phil Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Glad to have you back. We are broadcasting down here at Rivals Sports Pub. We're in Kenosha, Wisconsin. We are brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Huddle. Mike Clemens alongside. I am Bill Michaels. Mike is our reporter in Green Bay. And no trip to London for us. We're not going to be doing fish and chips, but pretty much everywhere else throughout the season. So, Mike, this trip, was this something you wanted to do? People ask me all the time, did you want to go to London?
Not really.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know why? Because last spring, it didn't look like a very good game. If I go to London, I'd kind of like to do it as a tourist.
Yeah.
You know? And I guess if I thought that there was maybe more of the league involved, like when we go for Super Bowl,
right,
and other kinds of things like that, I probably would have been more impressed. And I'm fine with it. The fact that this is to help promote American football in Europe. So, let the Europeans have the media access and all. I think that's fine. We go to just about everything else. So I'll be interested to watch it as a fan for the first time in a long time, and see what it's like. Getting up and watching a football game that starts at 8:30 on a Sunday morning in Wisconsin. This is what it's like to be an LA football fan all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is to get back to the schedule thing. This is so weird. They had practice this afternoon and meetings late. They're going to try and pack in Friday prep in Thursday in Green Bay before they leave. Then they're going to leave tomorrow night. They've got the flight. I think it's 7 or 8 hours. The time difference is 6 hours between British Standard Time and Wisconsin time. They'll get into London late Thursday, early Friday morning, and then they go straight to the hotel. And LaFleur thought, okay, we're going to have press conferences at 6 and practice at 8:30 in the morning, and that's going to somehow sync up to their Wisconsin clock. I don't know. It's 6:30 our time. It's 6:30 our time, but it'll be like noon British time.
Yeah.
But on those guys' body clocks, it's like, wait a minute. We had afternoon practice. We got into playing. We flew all night long, and then we're out here at 6 o'clock on a Friday morning.
Yeah.
And Rob Demoski asked LaFleur today, gee, if you're trying to sync up the game time, why wouldn't you start this stuff at 8:30 Wisconsin time or 2:30 London time? And there was a pause. He says, you could have come to one of the meetings.
Yeah, I mentioned that question earlier.
And so, part of this too is all this. It's this analytics stuff.
Right.
It's the trainers and the physicians and all these experts that are telling LaFleur, here's what you need to do to get the most, and then get the rest out of your bodies, and the tests and the studies we've done, and we've interviewed other teams and all that kind of stuff. So, I don't know how much of this is really in LaFleur's hands at this point.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Maybe that's kind of the stem of frustration from him.
Yeah.
That he's just like, look, you're telling me what to do. I don't like it.
Well, he probably can't keep anybody happy.
Yeah.
I got the star quarterback that says, let's go earlier so we can go and have a tourism thing.
Yeah.
And you got other people say, no, you should fly in and go straight to the stadium.
Right. Right.
Go
straight to the stadium. No drinking, none of that. Wear them out so they all just pass out and go to sleep until the next day. Yeah, it's. Are they still doing the body analytics where they're wearing the rings or they're wearing the body?
They got little GPS sensors that are about the size of a round bar of soap.
Yeah.
That they wear in their shoulders.
Okay.
So whenever they're at practice, they're constantly, know exactly how much workload they've put in.
Right.
Speeds, those kinds of things at every practice. I mean, that data is, that's presented to the coach every morning from what the numbers were on the players the other day, so that he can also plan accordingly. Like, well, maybe I should dial it back. That yesterday it was kind of hot. We went a little extra here.
Yeah.
So I need to dial it back. But you're going to get a New York Giants team that's got 7 players that did not touch the field today with practice. 4 of them are wide receivers. 4 of them are defensive backs. Wide receivers, including Kenny Galladay. He's out with a knee injury, did not participate. Your quarterback, Daniel Jones, was on the field some today, limited participation. His backup, though, Tyrod Taylor with a concussion, did not participate. He ain't going to be out there today.
Right.
And then one of your best defensive linemen, too. Henry Monroe's out with an ankle injury, did not participate as either. So
I can't see Tyrod Taylor or Adrian Amos going with concussion symptoms. You're not going to put those guys in planes. I can't even see them making the trip.
They didn't sign A.J. McCarron, did they?
Not that I know of.
Because he worked out for them yesterday. And,
I think if Daniel Jones is capable of coming back, then maybe they don't need to. But I don't know. Yeah.
Or they'll just run their wild.
They haven't signed. Ben says they haven't signed anybody. They worked out a bunch of guys, but have not signed anybody. So maybe they're more optimistic about Daniel Jones' ankle than what we were first led to believe. Let's do this. We're going to step away and take a quick break. When we come back, I want to look around the rest of the league. We're going to start with a game coming up on Thursday night. Tomorrow night, you got the Colts on the road taking on the Broncos. And then we'll get into the whole slate of games, including the Green Bay Packers, start to make some picks as we take in the final segment of the Bill Michaels Huddle. We are broadcasting live at Rival Sports Pub down here in Kenosha, brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. Final segment with me and Mike Clemens coming up next.
This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You got to hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket.
Welcome back. Glad to have you. The Bill Michaels Huddle. We are broadcasting live. We're at Rivals. We're down here in Kenosha. Kenosha. And talking about the Packers and the Giants coming up Sunday morning. 8:30 a.m. will be the kickoff. They're going to be in London. Both teams. First time. Did you find it interesting? Mike Clemens alongside. First time in London, 2 teams actually have winning records.
Yeah. It's been like years since 10
Right.
or 15 years since that happened.
Yeah.
Oh, well, part of it, though, is because one of the teams that they've drawn a lot is the Jacksonville Jaguars and other teams that don't have fans that travel like the Green Bay Packers.
Right.
And Mark Murphy, he didn't have to say to the NFL year after year, no, we're not going to do it. It was the opposing teams that said, oh, no, we don't want to lose a Packer game.
Right.
We want the Packers to come to Atlanta.
Yeah.
And come to
Philip
Tampa.
Jacksonville and Tampa.
And all these places because all their fans
Carolina.
come.
Yeah.
But even I asked Rogers about it today. He said, we listen, this year we got 9 home games, so they decided to give up one of our home games. So this is one we give up finally to go to London after. all
So
these years.
everybody still gets now. They only had 1 preseason game again this season at home. So you give up that second monetary gain,
Right.
if you will, for the town.
It's tough for Green Bay though.
Yeah, that's
tough
my
for the
point.
tourism
I
of Green
completely
Bay.
agree. It's tough to only you lose what would be 2 games.
Right. But the good news is next year you'll get 2 preseason games. And I guess you'll lose one in terms of the regular season. Yeah.
Probably 8 regular season games, so you'll get that same amount.
But Jordan Love will have them deep into the playoffs, and
Right.
everything will be fine.
Right. Let's go to the games coming up on Thursday. You got the Colts on the road taking on the Broncos. Broncos sitting at 2-2. Colts at 1-2-1. And look, the Colts just don't look like a good team. And boy, I tell you what, Matt Ryan has not found the greener pastures going to Indianapolis. The Broncos, I think the Broncos are a good football team. I just think that they're still trying to find their way as well. Nathaniel Hackett's trying to find his way. I'll take the Broncos in a slim one at home.
I think Frank Reich is a great coach. I hope Jim Irsay gives him some slack and lets him wait until they can get, maybe draft a quarterback or something like that. Nathaniel Hackett is just taking a beating nationally. But we'll see if he can figure that out. But I'll take the Broncos at home. But right now I heard that Russell Wilson he's limited in practice right now.
Yep. Steelers, speaking of a limited quarterback, Steelers with Mitch Trubisky, limited just even when he's healthy. taking on the Buffalo Bills, who are now 3-1, and hands down, I've got Buffalo at home in this one.
Is it Kenny Pickett? I think he's going to start now.
Yeah, Kenny Pickett has been named the starter.
Yeah, because they were just going to let Mitch play quarterback, and that's how that worked out. No, Buffalo Bills, I still think are one of the strongest teams, if not the best team in the National Football League. Bills at home, I'm taking that.
Chargers trying to get healthy, and they're trying to do it against the 2-2 Browns, 2-2 teams playing at the Mistake on the Lake. I like the Browns defense. They can run the ball, and they're 2-2, and they're trying to just hang on to any kind of life they have. I think the Chargers are a pretty good team, but I think as Justin Herbert gets healthy, so does that team. I'll take the Chargers in a slim one on the road.
I'll take the Chargers as well.
Texans 0-3-1, taking on the Jaguars, who look under Doug Peterson. Trevor Lawrence looks like a quarterback again.
They're playing football.
I've got the Jaguars at home to knock off Lovie Smith and that big god beard.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you on that, too. I'll take the Jags as well.
Bears going into the Minnesota Vikings 2-2. Vikings 3-1. Vikings have not looked great since they beat the Green Bay Packers, but I still think they're better than the Bears. I think they're going to put, even with that defense, I think that they're going to try to contain Justin Fields, but Justin Fields is throwing it 10, 15 times against tops and not doing much with it. He's got, like you mentioned, Cody Whitehair is now down. I just think the Bears are just completely outgunned in this. I'm going to take the Vikings to go to 4-1.
Big day for the Minnesota passing game against this Bears team in their current state.
The Patriots and the Lions. Lions have I keep saying the Lions got to learn to win. Last year, they had a lot of close but no cigars. Dan Campbell cried a lot. This year, they've had a couple of games close but no cigar. I don't know where Mac Jones is in the process. Zappe played pretty well. I just think the Patriots without a quarterback are not going to play well against the Lions. I'm going to take the Lions to get their second win of the season.
I'm going to take the Lions.
I'm
going to take the Lions.
Every time I take them, they lose. But
yeah,
I keep waiting for them to learn how to win.
I just think I'm probably crazy, but as serious as the Patriots team is, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot about football and Belichick this past weekend. I don't know why. I just think the Lions are overdue to pull up the upset.
The Seahawks 2-2 on the road against the Saints, who are 1-3 down in the Big Easy. This one's tough because both teams are kind of bad.
Yeah.
I think I'll just take the home team in that one.
Yeah, Seahawks got blown out. I'll go with the home team. I'll go with Dennis Allen and the Saints.
Saints getting the win. The Dolphins without Tua on the road taking on the 2-2 Jets. I still think the Dolphins are just more talented. And I just until the Jets win consistently, I can't even pick them. But the Jets are 2-2. The Dolphins are 3-1 after getting beat by Cincinnati on that Thursday night game in which, Tua was laying on the ground and stiffened up and was a really ugly scene. But I'll take the Dolphins with or without Tua to get the win over the Jets.
I'm going to take the Jets at home.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Got a gut feeling on that?
Well, it's just some things that I've seen in terms of what they're doing on their defense. I feel like I'm going to take the Jets.
Buccaneers are 2-2. Falcons are 2-2. Cole Beasley has now officially retired. He walked away from football today. The divorce attorneys, I guess, have been hired in the Tom Brady, Gisele Bündchen divorce
Isn't that
case.
crazy?
Yeah. A lot of distractions.
So money and fame cannot buy you happiness.
I guess. Apparently, according to all the reports, he was really PO'd that he came back and played another season. So, and that was it.
2-3 weeks ago, before the Buccaneers game, Aaron Rodgers, talk about your friendship with Tom Brady. Well, it started essentially, we were seeing each other every year at the Kentucky Derby, and we sort of picked up to that, and then the golf thing and all that. And what's it like when you guys are together? Well, I talk about places I've traveled and things, and Tommy, football.
Right.
That's how Aaron Rodgers described
right
his friendship and relationship with Tom Brady. I'm just stunned on the personal level that it came to this.
Yeah.
But,
football.
Wayne
Larrivee had seen Walter Payton play and seen Michael Jordan play. And we had this conversation one day, and I said, what does it make those greats, and why does it, come down to this when Walter was basically told he's have to leave and Michael, gets let go and basically goes on to the Charlotte Hornets or whatever. And he said, you got to yank the ball out of their hands.
Yeah.
The great ones just, they're obsessed with it.
Yeah.
And they just, you got to take it
know
away from
nothing
them.
else.
So maybe that's what happened. And Brady decided to come back, and who knows. But regardless, I'm going to take the Buccaneers at home to get the
Buccaneers at home.
The Commanders 1-3, Titans 2-2. Commanders are at home Titans, I still don't have a lot of faith in them, but I'm going to take the Titans on the road.
I will take the Titans.
San Francisco getting a win, knocking off the LA Rams and beating up on Matthew Stafford. Their defense is certainly feeling it. There's no way the Panthers get a win in this one. The 49ers starting to look better each week with Jimmy Garoppolo under center. They go to 3-2. Panthers, I have a feeling, go to 1-4.
Yeah, 49ers defense, I mean, they were crushing the Rams the other night.
Yeah.
Just crushing them.
Eagles are undefeated. They go on the road. They take on the Arizona Cardinals. I think this is going to be the beginning of the end for Cliff Kingsbury. And as his head coaching regime will come to an end, as the Cardinals had a lot of expectation coming into the season, and they're certainly not living up to it. Eagles will go to 5-0.
Isn't that incredible?
Yep.
Jalen Hurts, man, he looks great.
Yeah.
You know,
which is the battle of two young quarterbacks.
The Chicago Bears front office say, give us another year or two, and maybe we got the next Jalen.
Right.
Yeah. Let's take the Eagles on the road in Arizona.
Cowboys 1-3, Rams reeling at 2-2. The Rams couldn't protect Matthew Stafford last week. Now here comes Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
Smoke him if you got him at this point.
I'm going to take McVay over McCarthy at home in L.A.
Really?
New sci-fi. Yeah.
For them to bounce back.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yes, sir.
And then you got 2-2. The Bengals on the road taking on the Ravens. Now, Cincinnati, by the way, Cincinnati is a passing team, and the Ravens can't stop anybody in the pass. Give me your thoughts there.
No, I'm going to take Joe Burrow.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Got Joe Burrow going on the road?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the Ravens have lost a lot in the last couple of years, and I believe their defense coordinator is now the guy running the Giants. Mm-hmm. So I like the Bengals.
And not to say that Lamar Jackson has not played well, because he has. He just hasn't had the defense to be able to kind of help him out. Then you've got the Monday night game, the Raiders on the road, and then you've got the Chiefs at home, sitting at 1-3. Raiders or 1-3 the Raiders, 3-1 the Chiefs. The Raiders are not a good football team.
They're a silly team.
Yeah,
they're a very silly team.
Is this? They went out and they hire
Josh
McDaniels to be the head coach, and they thought the offense was just going to hum. And is this to me, if he fails at this and fails miserably, this is it for him as far as being a head coach?
Probably.
Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, they've got a lot of problems on defense, which is not his problem. But they're so out of sync on offense as well. And I cannot believe that Devontae Adams came out and started shooting the media in Green Bay. Like, well, they're gonna start making these comparisons. Like, no one cares, Devontae.
Yeah.
Boy, that train left the station months ago. No one cares. Whatever. We understand. You got to do your thing. And why he brought that negative attention, which went viral on himself, he didn't help his team at all.
No.
He didn't help his team at all with that one. Yeah, I'm taking Andy Reid and the Chiefs at home against the confused Las Vegas Raiders.
And then the game on Sunday morning that we've been talking about, and I've already said I think the Packers are going to win this one. So I think the Packers, I just think they can outman the Giants. I just think they got a better team. I'm going to say Packers 27-13.
I'll take that score too. I think Aaron Rodgers has got a lot of things figured out. I think Romeo Doubs is playing very well for him. Hey, Randall Cobb, unsolicited, in just kind of a casual conversation, I was talking about 2 or 3 other things and maybe a little bit about this trip and all. But I said, so then how did you feel you guys came out of the Patriots game? And he said, Rome, man. Yeah. Rome. That's what they call Romeo Doubs. This kid is special. Yeah. He looks better every week. He works hard. This kid is going to be exciting if he keeps working at it the way he is right now. And that's just, I didn't ask that. Right. Cobb just offered that Doubs is solid. And what's kind of funny and awkward, but it's that competition you want, is Christian Watson knows that he's supposed to be that guy.
Right.
And he had the setback with the knee and then the hamstring and the drop, against the Vikings. But I mean, that guy's got to be working 3 times as hard to keep up with the 4th-round pick.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. So 27-13, we have the Packers knocking off the Giants. We shall see. I'm going to be heading over to Viroqua now. Mike, you're going to be heading home?
Back up to Green Bay.
Back up to Green Bay?
Yeah, we got one more day. And then
that's right.
See those boys take off on the plane.
You're going to do that photo op where they're all just heading to the plane.
Right.
Getting what Aaron Rodgers is wearing and the Prada shoes. And
right.
The crazy hair.
And then after they get on the plane, I'm going to go through the locker and see if there's anything to steal.
Yeah, there you go. Cool. Mike, always working it. There you go. That'll do it. 2 hours up, 2 hours down. It was that quick. The Bill Michaels Huddle, again, brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. Time for us to get out of here. Thanks to the staff and management here at Rivals Pub and Grill in Kenosha. You were great.